Are we heading toward social justice judgment day? And what could that mean for us? It appears that socialism is on the rise, and it is mixing with racist policies. History has shown us that that's a dangerous combination. We'll discuss.
This is a war, and this is your fate. We are the face of your new police state. We are the law.
Welcome to the Charles Carroll Society. I am your host, the self-appointed bard of the American Readout. Please hit the subscribe button here. Please follow us on our main blog, charlescarrollsociety.com. Please subscribe there. This makes sure that you can actually get our content, and we're not relying upon the big social media giants to provide your content. Socialism is on the rise. Slightly over 100 years ago, in 1912, the Socialist Party of America received 6% of the popular vote in the presidential election. So it's not unheard of that socialism is somewhat popular in the United States. Several polls have suggested that over 50% of millennials have favorable opinions of socialism. The Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, is the nation's largest and most prominent socialist organization. The DSA is not a political party. It's a 501c4 nonprofit advocating for revolution through infiltration. It's a dues-paying member. So when you see its membership numbers is a bit low, all of those are actually dues-paying members. It often operates within the Democratic Party and other progressive movements like Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ movements. The DSA and other socialist organizations are into practical local politics. One district at a time. They use intensive door-to-door, face-to-face meeting-to-meeting organizing, and they've become very successful at it. DSA is not the only socialist organization, it's just one of the largest and most well-known. Another one is called the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL. Their plank says, this is what they stand for: achieving fully developed socialism, a goal that has not yet been achieved anywhere, will open the way to communism and the end of a class society. The party's goal is to lead a revolution, paving the way towards socialism, under which a new government of working people would be formed here in the United States. Lee Carter, a DSA member and military veteran, ousted the incumbent Republican Majority Whip Jackson Miller in the Virginia State House of Delegates. He won the 50th district with a 9-point spread, 54 to 46. In 2017, the Democratic Socialists picked up a historic 15 seats across the country, adding to the 20 elected members they already have in office. For example, Democratic Socialist candidate Franklin Buin, who in March won the Democratic nomination to be a Houston criminal judge. Democrat Socialists tend to win in heavily Democratic areas, but also they are winning in a few towns who voted for President Trump as recently as 2016, such as Polk County, Iowa, where they elected a DSA member to their city council. The Democratic Social of America organization grew from about 5,000 dues-paying members in November 2016 to over 45,000 dues-paying members nationwide now in 2018. This is a small number, but it's a massive increase in membership and elected officials. Chris Riddle, a former DSA vice chair, said, "We haven't seen this kind of socialist activity for over 100 years." Examples of difference between the Democratic National Committee and the Democratic Socialists of America: the Democratic Party now wants a single-payer health system. The Republicans failed to repeal Obamacare, and of course, as soon as the Democrats get Obamacare, they wish to push further. But the DSA ultimately wants to nationalize all hospitals, including all Catholic hospitals, all of the providers, and the rest of the healthcare system as well. While both the DNC and the DSA will work toward higher taxes on Wall Street, the Democratic Socialists ultimately say they want to nationalize the entire financial sector. While Democrats and some Republicans believe in criminal justice reform, the Democrats and Socialists of America members are calling for the outright abolition of police and the prison systems. I wonder how that would work. Single-payer government health care for all it was introduced by one senator in 2013 with no co-sponsors. This is evidence of how the Democratic Socialists are moving the Democratic Party to embrace socialism. So in 2013, Bernie Sanders submitted a complete single-payer government-run health care. He couldn't get one co-sponsor. This year, more than 1/3 of Democratic senators and 2/3 of House Democrats support a single-payer health care. A reasonable estimate suggests it would cost approximately $32 trillion in new taxes. Single-payer health care. 130 Democratic members of Congress refused to vote in support of ICE or any type of border enforcement. 130. Democratic National Committee Chairman Tom Perez recently said that the Democratic Socialists of America member Ocasio-Cortez is the future of the Democratic Party. On a side, a Democratic Socialist, essentially a Democratic Socialist, just won the Mexican presidency. And for the first time in 100 years, he won with a plurality of the votes, over 50%, and his party has a majority in both houses of parliament. Venezuela has come to the border of the United States. The racist left. Statements of Boston University African American Studies Sociology professor Grudy. Why is white America so reluctant to identify white college males as a problem population? She says. Every Martin Luther King week, I commit myself to not spending a dime in white-owned businesses, and every year I find it nearly impossible. She says, white masculinity is the problem for America's colleges. She then incorrectly claims that only whites enslave people. Deal with your white blank, white people. Slavery is a y'all thing. Recent UN reports, of course, say that modern slavery is alive and well in Africa and the Middle East, one of the more popular places for slavery now. Law professor Yankah, Y-A-N-K-A-H, of the Yeshiva University wrote in an op-ed piece in the New York Times asking, can my kids be friends with white people? Professor Ricky Jones of the University of Louisville said, why are so many white Americans so brutally mean and inhumane? Why do many others feel comfortable justifying or excusing it? Why do others still, who claim not to think that way, find it acceptable to say little and do even less? Make no mistake, there are certainly whites who stand in the tradition of William Lloyd Garrison or John Brown and others. However, reasonable people must admit they are the exception, not the rule. Even though 600,000 white people died to end slavery in the United States, and the entire abolitionist movement to end slavery in the United States was 99% white. Frank Joyce wrote in a Salon.com piece, Salon has 17 million readers, the future of life on this planet depends on bringing the 500-year rampage of the white man to a halt. The racist left gets 90% of the black vote, 70% of the Hispanic vote. It does this by convincing people of color that systematic racism is the primary problem with getting ahead in America in 2018. On a side, but is that true? Single black women without a college degree, ages 20 to 39, have a net worth of $5. Single black women with a college degree, aged 20 to 39, have a net worth of $11,000. Married black women, aged 20 to 39, have a net worth of $31,500. $31,000 is not that much, but it's a lot better than $5,000. If you finish school, don't have children before you're married, and don't get married until you're after 21, but get married, you have a 90% chance of not ending up in poverty. I do not yet know how you white people have prevented us black people from getting married, and I don't know how you sneaky white people are making us black people have sex. Children raised without a father are 5 times more likely to be poor, 5 times more likely to commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in jail. Yet women still initiate 70% of all divorces. Women get primary care of children 5 out of 6 times. men are more than 8 times more likely to commit suicide during a divorce. Trying to teach personal responsibility against, hey, we'll give you free stuff, is very difficult. Crony capitalism, which does exist in these United States, makes it even harder. When you see the head of Amazon making $250 million a day, while many of his workers don't have very basic benefits, and when your single self with a bunch of kids, your mother, her single self with a bunch of kids, and your grandmother, her single self with a bunch of kids, together have $15 worth of net worth, socialism seems pretty attractive. Socialism and the racist left are mixing. Keith Ellison, the first Muslim to be elected to Congress and once a supporter of the Nation of Islam, which is a black supremacist organization, was also a member of the Minnesota Communist Party. He is favored to win the AG in the state of Michigan. Representative Luis Gutierrez, Democrat from Illinois, many people know of him as an open border advocate, but fewer people realize that he was a former member of the Marxist-Leninist Puerto Rican Socialist Party. Somali refugee 33-year-old Ilan Moore represents House District 60B. She's affiliated with the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, DFL, which is actually officially affiliated with the Democratic Party. There is some evidence to suggest she married her own biological brother to help him gain residency in the United States. Of course, the most popular, Ocasio-Cortez in New York, won as a New York Democratic Socialist of America. Their platform is abolish profits, abolish prisons, abolish cash bail, abolish borders. The DSL plank says, we are socialists because we reject an economic order based on private profit. Ocasio-Cortez advocates for the federal government jobs for everyone and open borders. In Pennsylvania, 4 candidates won state office in Pennsylvania as Democratic Socialists: Summer Lee, Sarah, Elizabeth, and Kristen. Kashmir Swart, S-A-W-A-N-T, won re-election in Seattle as a member of the Socialist Alternative Party in Seattle. She's one of the people who have pushed through increasing taxes on business to pay for free housing for drug addicts. The Latino organization The Race, called La Raza, their associated MECA, M-E-C-H-A, are extremely intertwined with socialism and communism. That's why they have a lot of red. The American Communist Party is a significant supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement. Socialism and the LGBTQ movement are also mixing, but that's a subject for a different discussion. Republicans, beware. Conservatives, beware. The coming fight, what some call a cold civil war or soft civil war, rages on. The racist socialist left has turned to violence and intimidation to advance the transformation of this country. But when you realize that the people that are hounding the Trump administration, who are in the media, who are in the Democratic Party, are not Democrats. They are hard, red guard socialists and communists. It makes sense. This is the perfect playbook of the red guard of socialists and communists. We are two sides, socialists and capitalists, or progressives and conservatives, and we want completely drastic different things from our culture and our government. Yet we live in proximity to each other. Only one side defends the Constitution as originally written, while the other side will stop at nothing to replace it or reinterpret it, as they say. Socialists are actively working toward a social justice judgment day. It's not just about tax policy. Politics is downstream of culture, and our culture is being remade while we argue about corporate tax rates. We must defend our culture, which is based upon Christianity, Western civilization, and individual liberty. And we must educate our fellows as much as we can about the horrors of socialism. I leave you with the words of Gregory H. Stanton, a research professor in the Genocide Studies and Prevention in George Mason University in Fairfax County, Virginia, USA. He is reported to have said, "For God's sakes, don't disarm. Do not disarm." Viva Cristo Rey, Viva Cristo Rey, Viva Cristo Rey y the Virgin of Guadalupe.